Hello and welcome to the Sassy as Fuck podcast. I'm John McGreevy. I'm joined by my co-host, Alex Radford. On this show, we're joined by Jane Portman, the co-founder of SaaS email platform Userlist, and the host of UI Breakfast and the Better Done Than Perfect podcasts. I'm wearing the t-shirt from the Better Done Than Perfect podcasts, and this is the second time we've recorded this intro because the first time I was quite depressed, and you could tell. Hi, Alex.
Hello. My t-shirt is still in the wash. That's why I don't have it on. This is episode 1 of the new season.
Kind of. We had an episode where it was just us talking.
This is
the first one people are going to listen to of the revived,
yes.
The new and improved Sassy as Fuck.
Yes, and I like it how what we've done is we've gone straight in to guilt trip people into watching or listening to the kind of the rest of the episode. I like that we've kind of just gone in with a very different energy.
No pressure at all. It's just that if you care at all about mental health and people's well-being,
you can't say
you
that.
should really.
You can't say that. You can't. Already, I know in the previous episode, we already got a comment from a good friend of mine who said halfway through they told me to stop listening or watching, and I feel like I've been lied to. So in the back of my mind, this new season we've already lied to somebody, and now we're saying that guilty. It's insanity.
Same podcast, fewer morals. That's where we're going with this one.
Yeah, we've spent more time in the marketing industry that our morals have just dropped dramatically.
Yeah, but we have gone back to it is. You can tell it's the same podcast because we recorded the interview in December, and then we recorded the intro in late January.
Yes,
and then now we're recording the intro again in March because there's been things like you've been ill, and
yes.
I had a pretty big breakdown in between those two things as well. It's okay, I'm on medication now.
Okay, yeah.
And so, but now we're back to it. And so, which is really what we used to do quite well, is that we would record things, then life would get in the way for a few months, then we'd do it. But we're gonna release this week.
Yes, and Jane Portman's gonna go. Oh yeah, I remember that. I think we did that a while ago. Maybe it'll be a nice surprise for them. Maybe
I think Jane will enjoy looking back on the conversation we had 4 months ago.
Yes,
probably confused that we didn't release it, so because she's like a good podcaster,
professional.
She's a professional. She has 2 podcasts. They're high quality, great guests, consistent in the release schedule, really impressive. Yeah. Whereas we are more of a Mickey Mouse operation, where we can say that now because there's like Mickey Mouse in the public domain or something, or Steamboat Willie is probably not Mickey Mouse.
We're a
Steamboat Willie operation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh gosh. Well, it's starting off to a good start. And obviously now this is the new kind of way we're trying to cut this down. Because previously we took, I think, around 30 minutes.
Yes, the intro's got progressively longer. Me and Alex just like to catch up for half an hour at the start of the show. Yeah, and we realised that we really got in the way of getting to the actual interview. So, yes, good prompt there.
Okay, thank you.
So we're going to go into the interview now.
Heck yeah.
We're not going to talk for half an hour.
No.
Should I do that now? Should I go into the...
Yeah, but just know that it hurts the both of us right now a lot that we're having to skip the little chit-chat.
Yeah, so we're recording a few intros at the same time now, which means there's a good chance that the next one or the one after that will be about half an hour as our self-control is completely gone.
Yeah. You'll notice us getting tireder as the episodes go along.
Yeah. So this is our interview with Jane Portman. Jane, welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. As I mentioned before, I've historically opened them awkwardly, and so I've just defaulted straight back to the awkward hellos. Thank you very much for joining us.
Excited. We have this stand-up vibe, to the show. I'm enjoying it very much.
Luckily the listeners don't get to hear quite how catastrophic it's gone so far, but just for context, I got stuck in traffic at the shops and got back really late, so I was already kind of coming into this a little bit flustered. Alex might have missed his calendar invite and then had a number of technical difficulties. Oh, my camera didn't work as well when I first came on, and then my microphone wasn't working. Then Alex joined and microphone wasn't working. But Jane, you have been an utter pro already coming into this. Camera looking great, your microphone sounding great, you joined on time, everything. We really deserve probably a worse standard of guests, so we really appreciate you taking the time out for this.
Thank you, John. Let's dive in.
So I want to kind of just start off with, obviously, going into any kind of interview, we do some research and look into the guests. And so you're the co-founder of UserList. You host 2 long-running podcasts. You've written various ebooks, and you're a mum of 3. So I kind of open up the question is, how? How does that doesn't seem like a possible thing. I don't know how you get anything. How is that possible?
Thank you. That's very flattering. It's not happening at once, so I guess that's one recipe. Also,
you're not currently writing an ebook off screen.
Thankfully not. Yeah. Podcasting has been optimized to the T, so I'm really doing my best putting everything on the team and just showing up for the recordings.
Nice.
Yeah, and we've also kind of really slowed down over time. So when UI Breakfast was starting out, actually celebrated 10 years of UI Breakfast this fall. When we were starting out, it was pretty tight, like every week or so. Well, the first couple years were sporadic, but anyways, when the show was growing, it was every week, but then we got to like every 2 weeks, and then last few months it's been every month. So yeah, and it's always quite enjoyable, so more like nice hobby on the side, learning on schedule, meeting interesting people on schedule. What can be better, right?
Yeah.
The 3 kids part, well, that's thanks to everybody who's helping me with that. There was no way in the earth I would do this alone, because then I would just be a full-time driver.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I think that the idea of just, I think to me, the idea of just having 3 kids alone is kind of like, that's it. That's all I could possibly do. But I guess, yeah, it depends on the support you've got. I mean, I just have a single dog, very low maintenance. But even then, I'm like, if I had 3 dogs, I'd probably have to quit my job. It's just, that might be more of a me issue though than a, general issue. So focusing on UserList as well as kind of co-founder, what was the journey like? I don't know, I'm doing the hands. How did you go from kind of UI, UX consultant and writer to founding UserList, an email automation platform? What was that? How did that go from A to N?
So the consultant and the writer part was working alongside each other. So was using the writing as a lead gen and sort of marketing sandbox for the consulting. So that went on for good 5 years plus, probably since 2012 when I started that. And then UserList was founded in 2017. Yeah. And as I was paving my path as a consultant, I really niched down on web apps and B2B SaaS. So instead of hanging out with designers, I was hanging out with founders because I was just enjoying this. And that was always my ambition to become one. And in 2016, actually like January 2017, I had a very, very bright and vivid journey of founding my first product, which didn't work out. Okay. And Benedict helped me build it as an engineer for hire. That's when I learned that he's not just an awesome friend, but also great to work with. And then when that didn't work out, sold that one, and not necessarily that smoothly as a sequence, but had another idea. And I was lucky that he said yes. And we also had another co-founder, Claire, and we were supposed to be like the magic triumvirate of designer, CTO, and marketer. So Claire of Get the Funnel, pretty famous SaaS marketer, truth to be told, I was really flattered that she said yes. So she stayed with us for the first year of the journey, helped us interview early prospects, do like research, laid some foundations. But then she had to focus on other things, so we let her go, and I became the marketer. So these days, design is like a fraction of what I do, mostly marketing and sales. That's my story. And marketing is teaching people email marketing. So I'm like very meta marketer about email marketers. There's like very little place for design there.
Yeah, I think you've got to, right? As co-founder and then take on marketing, I think I'm not sure you could really do it justice if you then kind of go, right, I'm now as well full-time doing design and UX. I think that's something's got to give at that point. I think that it's fair enough that you've chosen, and you know, with how well your podcasting's done and how the amount of content you've created and that it's clearly working.
It's always been like a mix of things. For example, when I was selling the books, email marketing was the way to sell it. So I was running and building my list. So I was not entirely new to the idea of email and everything. I would never imagine I would go head to head with like Nathan Berry and the ConvertKits of the world. We're not head to head, but like kind of similar.
Yeah,
let's admit that. Definitely an ESP. That's when we started out. We didn't intend to be an ESP, for what it's worth, but we became one just because it's easier to be trading in a specific existing market category. That's what we learned. So yeah, it's been kind of what's the term, like parlaying, I think, when you're leveraging your previous skills from some industries, moving to others, shifting, like learning all the time. And that's what I really enjoy doing. I think there's no end to this. I'm continuously improving in sales and marketing and other things.
So what, out of interest, what you say it didn't want to start off as an email platform. So what was it initially going to be?
I think if you just objectively look at this, it was an email platform, but we wanted to gather data about user behavior, and then based on, if only I knew how hard that part is, I would just never even try, because integration is a big like obstacle for anything. But that aside, we wanted to gather user data and then do different behavior-based things, send email, in-app notifications, possibly like onboarding widgets and things like that. So kind of like an intercom, but nicer, focused on SaaS, and just doing the same thing, but not so expensively, because intercom was, it was not affordable back then. Starting $100 a month was considered not expensive for me. I don't know where I was looking. I was like, we can do that for $29 a month. Then when we were gonna launch, we were like, 29 is really cheap. Let's do 49. And then we went to 99, and now we started 149 basically. So there is it's just got to be expensive to justify the commitment. I think that's what we learned.
How do you not turn around and go that this is too big of a project, kind of, because surely that goes on, right?
Well, first, I'm not alone here on this. In this, Benedict is a great CTO with lots of years of experience under his belt, so he knew. Maybe he didn't know how much of an obstacle it is for the people to integrate, but he definitely knew what he was getting in when we just said behavior-based anything. So I guess that didn't scare him off. So thankfully, I don't have to know everything myself and do everything myself here. So I guess that's answers your questions pretty well.
Yeah. Gosh, it seems like it's a lot of trust as well, because obviously you have to have good CTO to be able to kind of work with, to be able to know that you kind of...
If I had to outsource this, it wouldn't happen. It just is not possible. I don't see this happening because the technical component's so huge here.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
I think co-founding is such a partnership, but you have to be kind of working together quite closely, working back and forth to be able to get to that point. And so, I think if you're trying to outsourcing it is a good idea. Like, a good point is that I think the amount of time it would take to probably get anything close to where you're at by using people outside of the company it wouldn't be worth the money you make, whereas having somebody in there with you makes that possible.
Well, let's be honest, startups are about using unpaid labor of the founders for the first couple of years. So In our case, that was very expensive, high quality labor of us. So that's what we did. And then thankfully we can leverage more hands now.
So how's the software and the business changed from kind of that initially? You coming in, you had an idea, then you go, okay, right, we're an email platform. How has that changed since that point to where you are today? How has it evolved?
The product itself did not pivot. It was just like slowly evolving, and thankfully, my goodness, it feels such a relief. We're at feature parity with leading platforms. So it feels much better now, because previously I don't know how we were winning customers. I mean, I know we had certain benefits, but it's really hard to come head to head with the big guys. So the product itself has been evolving. There have been some changes how we describe this and how we sell it, as we were progressively adding features, adding in-app notifications to the mix, adding marketing email to the mix, so you could not just send onboarding emails. That was the big one. For the first few years, Useless was only for customer email. And then we added identity resolution, so now we could handle leads as well as customers in the same big list. And we did that because we heard the same phrase over and over in customer research, and that was, I want all my SaaS email in one place. Verbatim. Heard the same thing like 10 times, 20 times, and we're like, yeah, we got to get in and
maybe
build
that's
this.
the direction then.
Yeah. So we did that. One thing, no specific feature really turned things around to hockey stick, but things helped. So that thing helped. Definitely last year we added visual workflows to the mix, and we made ours really well. So that helped, get some growth. This year has been, I want to be cautiously optimistic. I don't know. November has been super quiet because elections, Thanksgiving, whatever. People are just like dead silent. So I don't want to jinx it by the end of the year. But the year has been fairly nice, but there's been no single feature or positioning twist or anything that would go like from this to this. This was just not happening, and it feels like we should keep digging for that gold, and there is like that brain puzzle that something is going to fall in place and we're going to get the hockey stick. But realistically, it's more about slow and steady and just growing and evolving and just getting bit by bit more customers, more features, and things like that.
That's a good point, because in the SaaS and the tech founder kind of community, there's a lot of pressure on growth. There's a lot of this. I think there's this fictitious moment where you make the right decision, you do the right publicity stunt, or you post the right thing, and all of a sudden it goes from this to this, and you get all the investment in the world, and you explode. Obviously, that it's firstly, I think it's
I'm
quite
not leaving
dangerous
that
approach
off the
to take.
table. I hope that may still happen,
Yeah.
But you cannot force that. I'm pretty sure.
But I think people expect that early on, this like overnight success after they've been doing it for 6 months and it happens. Whereas obviously that's not been. It takes a lot of time. It, like you say, it takes slow growth. And I think most overnight success stories have this bit beforehand where it is, years and years of steadiness and trial and error and stuff, and then it gets to that point. Kind of what have been the benefits for you, or what are the lessons you've learned about growth and growing slower?
Just keep going. That's the lesson. So one thing, of course, you must be building something that people need. And I think that part we had figured out, it was sure that we were sure that SaaS founders need email tools. So that was a given. There is statistically not a great chance that you're going to hit that gold mine. So for sure, brace yourself and just keep going. For sure, you should build something that people want. So if you think that you have a revolutionary idea, you're absolutely the first and there is nobody doing it, that's time for research. You're probably wrong. But if you're kind of a mature person, figure it out, know that this demand exists, then just the lack of traction should not be scaring you off. It just means that you need to keep going, most likely. The question is, does this match your life goals? Can you afford another few years of this should you get some money. Our recipe for this was to get a little bit of money to get going. So what we did, we had 2 rounds. We first joined Tiny Seed in 2020, so that allowed us to go full time. And that was 2 years in, for what it's worth. And then in a year, in 2021, we raised another angel round from 22 angel investors, and that allowed us to hire engineers and do other interesting things. So right now, we're basically still living off that potential from that round. So that basically gave us enough growth material to get going. Before, when we started, we were kind of anti-investor. Our plan was like, you're going to laugh very hard. We're talking like October, we're getting together saying, next spring, we get to 5K, take that as validation, and then we're going to incorporate, and then we're going to like take it seriously and so forth. It took us 2 years to launch and another 2 years to get to 5K. So it's like, like weather forecast, it always happens just on the wrong timeline, you know.
I respect the ambition, though. That's the thing. Because I think we all do the same thing. Like at this, like you look on paper, you go, well, all we need to do is just firstly create some software. Secondly, get some customers. And it kind of sometimes feels a bit more like, okay, we do that, and like marketing and software development are both very similar in that sense of that you start and you immediately find problems at every single step. You're like, oh no, hang on, that's not. No, wait, no, that's not going to work. I need to, and so I'm not surprised it took that long to kind of get to that point, because that's, creating software in itself is plagued with speed bumps and trip ups and things like that. But then marketing as well is the same.
The optimism, it was not the silly optimism of like someone who's never done SaaS before. I did a SaaS. Benedict did his own SaaS. Each of us had 10 plus years of consulting under the belt, consulting other SaaS. It was not like we're babies. We're still so naive.
Yeah, but it's so easy to be. And also it's, I think in a way, without that naivety at the start, I think you might not make it to 2 years, because you have to have that kind of that initial burst of excitement and those things to like kind of be motivated to get started. And then kind of when you get to spring, you can like, oh, we've started now. And then it kind of, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think, realism is useful, but also that naivety and that excitement at the start, I think is a lot of projects end up making it to the end because of that initial naivety.
I think what also helped us is that our business is really serious. We are sending emails on behalf of other businesses. It has privacy aspects to this and many other things. So we were dead serious that this is a real business very early. We were incorporating, doing legal docs, like GDPR, whatever not, all these things. And then we were so heavily invested that, the rest we just had to keep going. So I guess that helped.
There's so much to it. I've worked in software where like they've just done all the emails in-house, and there's so much to it that way as well. And so creating a platform that kind of can fit into all different softwares is kind of genuinely impressive, and as from a tech point of view, terrifying to me. So it's impressive in twofold.
I'm really glad that I'm not running the technical side of this. I could not sleep at night. That would be not doable. Just the amount of pressure is enough for sales and marketing, but when you add in the continuous load to make sure this works for everybody across the globe, that's hard.
Oh, I'd have nightmares every night about emails not sending. That'd be my constant anxiety, is just that you wake up to phone calls or emails saying like, oh, well, none of our emails are going out. And I'm like, well,
you should catch Benedict and ask him how he's doing it, because what helps me is just knowing I know so little and I can do so little that it just does not make any sense for me to worry. So one of the big milestones, I think 3 years ago, was getting full-time support. So that definitely made our lives easier.
So kind of you mentioned before about obviously there's a lot of there's plenty of competition. I mean, nearly every SaaS market has competition, and there's some big ones in this market. When you were starting out, how did you kind of overcome that to find those early customers? What were the steps you took to kind of find them and bring them in?
The answer to this is pretty always niching down. So what we were doing and what we are doing is niching down. So it's not just email marketing like Active Campaigns and MailChimps of the world. It's email marketing for SaaS. So just that helps. And then we're just scrambling. What didn't work out, and I had known that going in, that like any of my design authority, any of Benedict's engineering authority, it's not enough to translate into like a meaningful amount of customers. Sure, you can see like the first 10, but to sell SaaS, you need really you just need find ways to look for new people. So yeah, we just kept going, sort of clawing for the first people. I guess the unfair advantage was that we had great design, and even now that we have many features, it still looks pretty lightweight because we know where to hide things. So it's still powerful, but just humanly enjoyable and clear compared to other platforms out there. So I guess it felt refreshing for people, even though if you read any positioning books, easy to use, beautiful. These are not selling points. These are not they cannot help you sell. They are certainly nice to have and can help people fall in love with you later, but no. So that, and I guess for anyone who is starting out, even that is not narrow enough. You could be like niching down, email marketing for dev tools or email marketing for like some sort of SaaS. Interesting story. I interviewed Plane's founder, Simon Rohrbach, for one of the shows, and we had a very interesting episode about niching down and serving like B2B SaaS and doing support, but for their audience. Next day, their website goes live with a much wider positioning. So they were like, we're a support tool for what was it, for technical, for dev tools, I think it was. So we had a whole discussion about that. Next morning, website redesign, complete repositioning. He had not dropped a word about that coming in the show. I was like, Simon, you had that cooking. Oh my God, you're a spy. So I guess that's the way you go. You get traction by being narrow enough, and then you can afford to explore adjacent stories, adjacent markets. Where's the product market fit? Like they promised a hockey stick for us like by this time. No, still don't know.
So now we focus on user list, which it makes sense. But obviously this is a podcast. You are a prolific podcaster, so it'd be remiss to not ask you, but hang on, let's not make it about us. If there was anyone listening that either they're starting a podcast, or maybe they started a podcast a few years ago, they never really found their groove, they're starting up again, hypothetical situation, what advice would you have for them to kind of going forward and kind of to get, to find, not saying quite the success that you have in podcasting, but what advice would you have for, not us, for them, the hypothetical people I'm talking about?
I can talk about podcasting all day long. What did you do? We're just going to talk about that for an hour. It's a long game. It's not going to bring you customers right away. It's all for fun. So for me, it's fun. It's learning from guests in real time. So you basically have a chance to book interesting people and pick their brain, which you wouldn't otherwise. So that's it. There is no of course there is some marketing, and maybe you can grow enough to get like sponsorships and things, but that's so unlikely these days. I think everyone and their dog has a show. It's not like, it's not a rarity anymore, sadly. Well, it's probably great. So yeah, enjoy it. That's it.
I think that's what we've learned, like from when we first started this podcast. I think it's like 3.5 years ago now, which is very kind of upsetting for how few episodes we've done, really. But we that back then we were in our head. You like go, okay, you start a podcast and you get all these listeners, and then people are like, oh yeah, come work for us, and that's clearly not what happens. But looking back now on our first run with the podcast, the biggest benefit by a mile was just meeting great people and meeting like this like got such great guests, and you included in that, of these like amazing people you can learn from. Like being able to just pick brilliant people's brains for half an hour is a great privilege. Like you can't get people to do that generally, but if you invite them on a podcast, you kind of, you know, I'm not saying we tricked you on here to come and talk to us, but that's kind of, you know, that's what it is. I'm sure you've learned so much from your guests over the years, and that's kind of the biggest thing, is that I don't think if you go into it with expecting it to be like this big route to success and fame and fortune, you're probably not going to. But if you go into it to meet some really interesting people who are cleverer than you, then it's a great thing to do.
Definitely that. And also when you're even if you have like FaceTime with someone awesome in a restaurant for supper, it's not like you're gonna sit down for 40 minutes and intensely talk about their journey. It's just not socially acceptable, right?
Yeah.
That's why, for example, one of the conferences I go to, they decided to add in a mastermind format, like round table thing for the attendees, and it's been great because you get to know these people and you get to ask them direct business questions, which if you just sit at lunch, you wouldn't. Like, what are you struggling with? And like, tell me your biggest problem. I'm going to help you solve it, and things like that. So you need special circumstances for that, and podcasting is one of them. And going back to that question, what I would tell people, please delegate the production and as much as you can off your hands. For like 5 years, I didn't, and nobody can write show notes just like me. That paragraph, the descriptive paragraph, like I'm just the best. And honestly, can be no descriptive paragraph or anybody. Well, not anybody, but I think it's a massive amount of different services these days that can help you do that. So do delegate. It's a spectrum of costs, so you can get someone really cheap and really simple. Start there if you're not sure about the ROI, and maybe you can, if you get to grow and appreciate this more, maybe you can afford some higher quality help later.
Yeah, or my approach was just kind of try and find a producer and just kind of encourage them to come on as co-hosts, and then just kind of just leave all the production side to them. That's another approach you can take.
That does not sound cheap. Like, that does not sound cheap. Like, no. That's not a way for like 0 to 1.
My plan has been backdating invoices. So at some point, 5 years down the line, John's going to get a horrific wake-up call.
Hey, you're the co-host now. You can't charge me.
But no, you're right. Delegation does seem to be like it's so easy to be quite selfish about it, saying like it's my baby. I'm the only person that kind of knows how to kind of work on things. Is it that you kind of at what point what was the point that you had that where you were like, oh gosh, this is too much? Was it kind of different elements of like the hosting, the editing, or the kind of sourcing and that
I've used
stuff?
I'm not an audio person myself, so I have been using some audio production help like on Fiverr from very early days. That was not new. But at some point, I just realized that I would value my time more than like $300 I would pay to VA for doing this, very basically. Yeah. So that's when I did. But prior to that, I actually took over audio editing myself. So for a year, I was doing deep audio editing, like phrase by phrase kind of editing. I learned a lot about my ums and how people start. Like everybody says, oh, that's a great question 60 times per episode and things like that. And before that, I was using very cheap editing. And one listener wrote in and said, Jane, you're like breathing into the mic and I can hear that. And the reason I was breathing in is because I was super pregnant and I couldn't, I needed to catch my breath between just phrases.
I think breathing's fine, right? That's okay.
Well, but if you do heavy editing, you're just cutting out that part where where the host is breathing in the mic.
Yeah.
So
it's the most intense podcast.
Yeah, and that was not a dynamic mic. I had a Blue Yeti back then, and that thing just picks up every little bug in the corner of the room. You know.
I think all three of us then have been on that journey of realizing that Blue Yeti is actually quite an awful podcasting mic.
Yep. It looks professional. It looks,
it looks lovely.
impressive.
It looks lovely, but it picks up every sound in the house. It's not great.
Also, I had a huge pop filter, like this size. It would block half of my face, and it was always a dilemma for me. Like, do I choose my face or do I choose good sound for like a webinar or something?
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, it makes a big difference just kind of finding the right things to use. Right.
Honestly, use a boom arm, please. Like, anybody listening, go buy a good boom arm. That's gonna change your life a little bit.
Right. So to end off the podcast, thank you very much for answering great questions. Now it's going to go a little bit stupid because I've got a surprise segment that even Alex isn't aware of, and it's a surprise quiz where I'm going to pit both of you against each other. Don't worry, Jen, your questions are much easier. I'm going to pit you guys against each other in a quiz, 5 questions. Whoever gets the most right wins the quiz. We don't have a budget for prizes, but you win.
It's like trivia quiz, not biography
kind of
quiz.
It is. I mean, one of yours is more trivia than the others. So, Alex, also, I'm going to need you to add some exciting kind of quiz show music in the background, some sort of
okay,
something exciting. Not when I got excited before and started talking about it, like da 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 da, something like that to make it really good.
Yeah.
So to start, I also go ahead.
I can do that bit. I'm very stressed out right now about this quiz.
Yeah, no, I thought it was about 2 months ago. I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I surprised Alex with a segment he had no idea about? And then I made note of it, and I've thought about it most days since then. Just looking forward to this. So let's. Are you both ready for the quiz to kick off?
Alex, if anything, I can veto this as a guest, so don't worry.
That's true.
So let's just do it.
You can't turn against
this goes.
This is not a
This is
democracy.
perfect. Yeah. At the end of this, we'll have a conversation, Jay, just you and I, and we'll say, let's cut that bit. It was awful.
Oh crap! You edit the podcast. I can't. Okay, I'm going to persevere and hope that it goes. It's well, and hopefully it's entertaining enough that you feel compelled as a producer to keep it in, despite the shame or anguish you feel about the segment.
Okay.
So question 1, Jane, what year was Userlist founded?
2017.
That is correct. Alex,
Yes.
what year was the movie 12 Angry Men released?
God. Can I Google?
No,
How much?
you can't Google.
Come
on, I'm going to have to rush you. I'm going to have to rush you here.
2017. I think there might be a link.
2017? No, it's 1957. That was in no way was there a link there. That was,
Okay, great.
Oh, if you expect like a clever link between them, then really just throw that
I
out
had
the
the
way.
same thought that probably, like, because it's such a strange question, should be link, right?
Yeah.
Oh, if that's hold on to your hats if you think that was a strange question. Right. Question 2. Jane, your question is, name 3 Userlist integrations.
Mixpanel, heap, amplitude.
I'm going to assume that's
Zapier,
correct
of
because you're the co-founder. Oh, bonus ones as well. I'll give you a bonus point for that. So currently you're on 3 points.
Mine +1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a bonus point for the next one there. So Alex, and this, I'll be fair, this same will apply to you as well. You get a bonus point if you had an extra one. But name 3 of the main ingredients in the Icelandic dish pilsner. That's Pylsur.
How's that even fair?
Okay.
3 main ingredients.
Shredded pickle. A boiled root vegetable.
Which you're going to be specific about root
Some
vegetable.
herring. Do you know the dish, Alex?
No.
You sound like you do.
I am panicked.
Water. Let's do water.
Water. Yeah, water. Base ingredient, water. A little bit of seasoning of salt at the end.
You've got that absolutely wrong. So it's a hot dog. It's a hot dog made from a blend of lamb, beef, and pork. So I would have also taken onions. So Jane, question 3 for you. How long is the user list free trial?
14 days.
That's correct. That is correct. And Alex,
I'm going to ask for the website URL as the final question. Are you leading to like
let's
call
not,
to action?
Okay, let's not predict the questions here.
Well, yeah.
But yes, that is question 5.
Come on.
So, okay. So that's 14-day free trial. That's correct answer. Alex, the question for you.
Yeah.
How long would it take you to walk from your house to the nearest Shake Shack restaurant? How long? In hours. We'll round up to hours.
Well, the nearest Shake Shack is 30 miles away. I have no clue. Wait, no, Shake Shack. That's in London, right? Oh God.
Okay, I'll make this easy for you. Okay, the closest Shake Shack restaurant is in Birmingham.
Okay, Birmingham. Okay.
Jesse did point out it's not open yet, but we'll ignore that.
Okay.
So how long will it take you to walk from your house to Birmingham in the train station, Birmingham New Street?
Okay, I would say 17 hours.
No, it's 22 hours. That was a ridiculous guess. Question 4, Jane. What is user segmentation?
It's a way of dynamically splitting people into groups based on some criteria like data, behavior, things like that.
Yep, that's a great answer. We'll definitely take that. Alex, what is a badgermin?
Okay, a badgermin is a sport in which the animal badgers are used in a game of badminton. It was banned in 1366, but they tried to revive it in the 1800s.
Okay, that's clearly not right, but it's equally as ridiculous as the truth. So the answer is it's a badger that's been turned into a theremin. Okay, so wrong. That's Alex. You've still got 0 points, and Jane, you're currently got 5 out of 5 points, but you've got one more question to go, so you could get 6 out of 5 points. Sorry, Alex, what were you about to say?
Were you at least nervous at when I said badger at the start, and you were like, "Hang on a minute, he might be close to this," or did you think, "No, there's just no way"?
Well, that was supposed to be the easy one for you because obviously you're a composer, you're a musician, you've got a very kind of a long background in music production. I thought you would know what a badgermin was. I thought, just name a musical instrument. What is it? That would be easy for you, but that's my bad. I overestimated your knowledge of instruments.
My capabilities, yeah.
Okay, the final question, Jane. Where can people find out more about UserList?
I guessed it right.
You did. You guessed the question, which is,
Okay.
to be honest, a little bit upsetting for me. I'm that predictable.
You're not going to cut the show shorter this way, right?
Yeah,
so
I'm well aware. I've looked at the clock and realised that I've completely fucked the runtime already.
We can't cut it. We can't cut any of this now.
It's userlist.com. Yeah, it's userlist.com. We have a fabulous blog. That's how we get new customers. Unlike other publications, we publish actually in-depth execution guides, execution as in a good thing, on how people can implement their email marketing for SaaS.
That was a stunning marketing answer. I respect that a lot. You could just done a URL, but instead need the blurb. I respect that. And so, Alex, similar question for you. What was the name of my cuddly toy gorilla growing up? So as a child, growing up,
MailChimp?
Oh man, if it was MailChimp, that would be the most amazing link. Because that is something that's also integrated.
But that's not... So, no, it's not MailChimp.
Okay,
I'll give you a
MailChimp.
second guess. I'll let you...
I'm going to say Kingy in reference to King Kong.
Okay. It was Gus, obviously. It was Gus. And then Seth, who lived around the corner, got one that was similar, and they called theirs Guy. It was like a play on... It was like Gus, but not quite, and so... A bit of extra trivia there. So at the end of the scores, let me just top these up. Let me just... Okay, the 6. And then, so, Jane, you got 6 points out of 5 points. And Alex, you got none. So, Jane, you win the quiz. So, Alex, you can applaud as well. I feel shafted with this. I'm not happy. Okay, well, Thank you so much, Jane, for joining us. We really appreciate it. It was a great chat. It was good. I'm glad that we had someone else here for me tormenting Alex. That's always... it feels less
kidding.
It feels less targeted when it's just me. But when it's two of us, I feel like it's fine. It's a group thing. It's fun. It's fun then. It's a professional thing.
No Kidding has been the most entertaining podcast experience I have participated in.
We weren't going for professional. We weren't going to get it. So entertaining, we will absolutely take. So before you go, do you want to just anything else you want to? You obviously talked about user start. Anything else you want to plug or promote or mention before you go?
So my other maiden name is UI Breakfast. That's the project I ran before Userless. So if you want to find me on socials, I'm typically at UI Breakfast, uibreakfast.com. But please, just go to useless.com. You're going to find more interesting things there.
Nice. Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And goodbye. I can't remember used to finish these and things, but just thanks a lot.